Hello, today I wanted to talk about what I'm going to be reading for the month of October. So first on the list, I'm going to be rereading Dune as the movie's set to come out this month on the 22nd in Canada, I believe. I'm going to be rereading this. I rented it from my library on a Kobo, so it'll be easy peasy just to sit down a couple hours every morning and read this guy before the 22nd. I'm excited for the movie. I am tentatively hopeful. This month is a lot of rereads. I'm just in a certain mood, but we'll get into it. I'm trying to do the new books first. Next, I will be reading Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. Obviously, I've already started it. I'm enjoying it so far. I don't think I'm liking it as much as House and the Cerulean Sea, but I am really enjoying it, and I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm basically at the setup, but there's no payoff yet as to what's happening, so I am hooked though. Basically, a really mean businessman wakes up and finds himself at his own funeral and that he's dead, and what ensues after that is left to the story. It is, I feel like it's like classic TJ Klune though, where it's very much whimsical, and I feel like the trees are changing, it's fall. That's the kind of whimsy I'm looking for that. Next, at the end of the month, I'm going to be reading For the Wolf by Hannah Whitten. I think this is a very, very, very loose Red Riding Hood retelling, but I'm excited because I read the first like 20 pages a couple months back, but then I realized how atmospheric it would be for fall, so I put it down, left it until now. I know the second one is coming out relatively soon, which I've heard so many good things about this one. I'm hoping I'll be able to finish this and pick up the second shortly thereafter, but it's also a really gorgeous cover. Next, I'm going to be reading Beasts and Beauty, Dangerous Tales. This is just like a kid's middle grade book that is a lot of like Jack and the Beanstalk, Red Riding Hood, basically something I would just keep for my kid one day, but it's still going to be really cute to read. When I buy children's books that I intend later to be passed on to my own children, I always read through them first because I want to make sure it is the kind of stuff I want my kids reading, but this looks harmless enough. Like, are you kidding me? So cute. It is so flippin' cute. Next, I'm going to be finishing off Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is where my bookmark is, but I have the Farseer trilogy on my Kobo, so I feel like I'm probably somewhere more like here. I'm really enjoying it. I love Robin Hobb. What an undersung hero, except she's a bestseller. But still, I just think she is such a queen in fantasy that maybe isn't talked about enough. It is traditional fantasy, I will say that, so be ready for extremely long prose, very detailed, not a lot of dialogue except for in certain situations, but I really, really love it. The first one made me cry. I gave the first one 5 out of 5. This is looking like it's just raising the stakes and also going to be a 5 out of 5 star, and I'm so excited. I kind of am just in the mood for that kind of traditional fantasy, so this is going to be right up my alley. And I also have the third one to pick up if I choose to this month, but I do have a pretty heavy TBR, so I reckon I'll pick up the third one for the month of November. Now we get into a bunch of rereads, but it's fall and I do it every year. First on the list, I have Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I read this earlier this year, but my sister-in-law sent me an article kind of giving me more context and understanding of Daphne du Maurier and her writing and what it could hold. And after reading those resources, I would like to read this again. And mostly what I found the benefit of this story was how atmospheric it was. There was so much tension in this story that really you could cut it with a knife. And I'm kind of looking for that because it's fall. I don't know. I'm excited to give it another go. I have higher hopes this time that I will not better understand because it's pretty straightforward, but maybe get more out of it this time. I still haven't watched the just realized how crazy my hair looks. I still haven't watched the, is it Netflix adaptation? The movie that came out. I didn't watch it. The book wasn't bad though. Okay, let's get into one of my favorite books. So if you don't know my reading that well previously to reading fantasy and basically what I do on this channel now, my favorite type of reading was actually nonfiction and classics. And my favorite book since I was in junior high, I think I was 11 when I first read this, and I wrote a big paper on it in high school. We had to study it and read it and write character webs. The ins and outs, I know about this damn story, but I love it. Wuthering Heights and Pride and Prejudice are my two favorite books. I love them. They're nostalgic for me, but beyond that, I just love character-focused stories. And Wuthering Heights delivers so much in that aspect. I know people are on the fence about classics and all of that, but really, I would suggest reading this one and then watching the BBC adaptation that stars Tom Hardy. My love started early, but it started true with that one. There is a, contrary to like Charlotte Bronte, who wrote, I don't know if you've heard of her, but contrary to Charlotte Bronte's like Jane Eyre, I really would call this a gothic romance, whereas Jane Eyre, I would just call it like a gothic horror. We follow Heathcliff, who's my favorite. Talk about a toxic romance. Like, I love him though. Like, there is a sickness in me. There's one part where, spoilers, it is a classic, but like spoilers if you haven't read it, where she just dies and Heathcliff, like a absolute villain, just like bursts into the room and is screaming at her, haunt me, like if you ever loved me, haunt me until my dying days so that I may never forget you. And he like lays with her bones. I just want to be loved like that. I just want someone to lay with my bones. It's a really good story. I feel like if you haven't read it, that probably turned you off of it, or maybe turned you onto it, but it's really good and I'm excited. I'm gonna read that. I'm trying to make it more towards the second half of my month, but like I'm gonna read that right away. I know I am. But speaking of Bronte, I'm also going to reread Jane Eyre, this really cute edition. Jane Eyre isn't necessarily one of my favorite books, but I do really like it. It's like a 4-star read for me. It's very atmospheric again. It's spooky as all get out. Again, I read it when I was like 12 and it freaked me out, but I love it. I love it so much. Basically, all my rereads this month are classics. There's nothing so atmospheric to me for fall or for Halloween as like dark gothic classics. I want to reread Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, but I cannot find my copy for the life of me, so I think I'm gonna have to buy another one. But I had a really nice copy that I have had since high school, and I have no idea where it is. No idea. It was annotated and everything, but I guess I will have to just figure the themes out by myself all over again. Next, I have the complete novels of Jane Austen. Now, I know I'm not going to read all of this month, but I would like to finish Sense and Sensibility and read Pride and Prejudice. That would be ideally where I would like to land this month, and maybe just start in on Mansfield Park. I think that's the next one. These are laid out in publication order, so I think that's the next one, if memory serves. But I would like to finish Sense and Sensibility, read Pride and Prejudice, as 'tis the damn season to do that, and I want to finish this set by the end of the year. And like realistically, it looks like it's a lot, but in saying that, it is just around 1,200 pages. I mean, I've read Way of Kings in a month. I've read Words of Radiance in a month. It's not going to be that difficult. It reads a little slower because it's a classic, and I'm not used to that sort of writing style quite as quickly. But once I get back into the swing of classical writing, I blow through them. It'll be fine. So that is everything I'm going to be reading for the month of October. I'm very excited about all of them. I cannot wait to dive back into classics. When I tell you I love Wuthering Heights so much, that is the perfect 5 out of 5 star for me. And it's ridiculous, and I don't care. It's convoluted. It's like a telenovela, but you know what? Doesn't matter. Oh, I'm also going to be reading book 2 of Kingdom of the Wicked. I forget, but it comes out in like 2 days, something like that. My copy's already at work. So once I go into work on Tuesday, I'm going to pick it right up, probably read it same day, just like I did Kingdom of the Wicked. So it's not going to really take up too much of my time. I know the next Armentrout is coming out this month about King Nikolai. If you're unfamiliar with the Blood and Ash series, this is basically the start off to a spin-off series, but I don't think I'm going to read it right away. I'm a little Blood and Ashed out, which is funny because I was going so hard for it, but I'm just I need a little bit of a break, I think, before I hop back into it. And I'm a little worried that it's going to just be very similar to the original Blood and Ash trilogy that I've read thus far. But I'm still hopeful, but I just have so much I'd like to read this month. Stuff I'm genuinely excited for. If you cannot tell, I'm stoked with my TBR this month. So I just don't want to read anything that's going to put me back a couple steps. That being said, I gotta go. I gotta start reading. It's my weekend, and I have to tidy up a little bit as I have some girlfriends coming over. But thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the tail end of the month when we figure out what I've read. Here's hoping, because that's, now that I'm looking at it, it's all stacked in front of me. That's a big stack. I am not holding these up for a thumbnail. That is too much. I'm excited though. All right, I will catch you guys in my next video.